From the moment humans first felt the pull of the unknown, stories have circulated of hidden knowledge, secrets deliberately kept from ordinary eyes, whispers of rituals that could unlock powers beyond comprehension. Across centuries, scholars, mystics, and secretive orders have all hinted at a particular ritual so potent that it could alter the very fabric of human potential. Its existence has been denied by mainstream historians, dismissed as myth or superstition, yet fragments of evidence persist in obscure manuscripts, coded texts, and the veiled testimonies of those who claim to have witnessed its effects firsthand. It is a tale that straddles the line between history and legend, one that challenges the boundaries of what we think we know about the past and the human mind. Imagine a dimly lit chamber in some long-forgotten monastery, candlelight flickering across walls lined with ancient scrolls. The air is thick with incense and the scent of aged parchment. Somewhere, a scholar flips a brittle page, revealing cryptic symbols and diagrams that speak of forces beyond the comprehension of ordinary mortals. These are not mere illustrations, but instructions for a ritual, carefully encoded to remain hidden from those unprepared or unworthy. According to the whispers that have survived the centuries, performing this ritual correctly could grant knowledge, insight, or abilities that border on the supernatural. And yet, for every shred of guidance, there is a warning. This knowledge is dangerous, and history is filled with those who sought it and paid the ultimate price. Stories of forbidden knowledge are not new. The ancient Egyptians, who left behind massive temples and enigmatic hieroglyphs, were said to guard powerful rites that could commune with the divine. The Sumerians, some of the earliest chroniclers of civilization, encoded secrets in cuneiform tablets, often hidden in the most inaccessible archives. The Templars, whose name has become synonymous with secrecy, allegedly discovered fragments of these rituals during their crusades, preserving them for centuries in hidden vaults. Over time, whispers of this ritual have surfaced sporadically in manuscripts, secret letters, and diaries, each account more tantalizing and mysterious than the last. Mainstream history often dismisses these accounts as legend, yet the persistence of these tales suggests a hidden thread connecting them, a forbidden knowledge passed down in shadow, deliberately concealed from the eyes of the many. The allure of such a ritual lies not only in the promise of power, but in the mystery surrounding it. Why would such knowledge be so carefully hidden? What is it about this particular ritual that made entire societies wary of it, to the point of secrecy, censorship, or destruction of evidence? These questions have fueled countless theories. Some suggest it was fear because it could grant dominion over life and death. Others argue it could awaken latent abilities within the mind or body, and still others warn that it touches forces mankind was never meant to control. Whatever the truth, the very act of hiding it has only magnified its allure, creating a sense of forbidden fruit that beckons with equal parts danger and promise. Even the smallest fragments of information are enough to ignite the imagination. A hand-drawn symbol in a 12th century manuscript, a marginal note scribbled in a scholar's diary, hinting at ceremonies performed behind closed doors. A vague reference in a traveler's account from distant lands. Taken individually, these pieces might appear inconsequential, but when viewed as part of a larger pattern, they suggest the existence of something far greater, something deliberately obscured from the historical record. Modern researchers, though often skeptical, continue to probe these fragments, piecing together clues that span continents and millennia. And the more they uncover, the more elusive the ritual seems to become, a puzzle that defies completion yet tantalizes with every fragment discovered. This is where our journey begins, not with certainty, but with curiosity. The forbidden ritual, hidden in plain sight across the annals of history, invites us to explore the blurred line between reality and myth. It is a story of human ambition, the thirst for power, and the delicate balance between knowledge and danger. It challenges our assumptions about what is possible and forces us to confront the uncomfortable notion that there may be forces operating in the shadows of history, carefully orchestrated to remain concealed. As we embark on this exploration, it is important to remember, the deeper we delve, the closer we come to the edge of understanding, where fascination meets fear and where the whispers of the past beckon us to uncover secrets long denied. The roots of the forbidden ritual stretch deep into the shadows of human history, far beyond the confines of recorded time. Its earliest traces appear in whispers rather than formal records, scattered across fragmented texts, ancient carvings, and oral traditions that have survived the collapse of civilizations. Scholars have long debated its origin, yet no single culture claims full ownership of it. Instead, it emerges sporadically, as if hidden deliberately, surfacing in the unlikeliest places, in the cuneiform tablets of Sumer, etched in the walls of Egyptian tombs, or hinted at in the mystical texts of the Far East. Across continents and millennia, a pattern begins to emerge, suggesting that this ritual is not the product of one era or society, but a shared, forbidden knowledge preserved through secrecy, encoded in symbols, and safeguarded by those who understood its potency. The Sumerians, the architects of some of the earliest cities in human history, provide the first tangible hints. In the dry clay tablets unearthed in the ruins of Uruk and Nippur, scholars have found references to rites invoking celestial forces and the alignment of human consciousness with cosmic patterns. Most mainstream historians dismiss these as mythological or religious allegory, yet closer examination reveals a precision that suggests more than simple storytelling. The text describes sequences, gestures, and even tonal invocations, all carefully codified. Could these be primitive instructions for a ritual lost to time? One that the Sumerians understood and chose to encode in ways that only the initiated could decipher. It is tantalizing to consider that humanity's first urban civilizations might have held secrets deliberately concealed from the uninitiated, a knowledge both powerful and dangerous. Egypt, with its towering pyramids and cryptic hieroglyphs, offers the next thread in this intricate tapestry. Tomb inscriptions and temple reliefs speak of rites designed to commune with forces beyond the visible world. Priests meticulously recorded these ceremonies, sometimes leaving instructions in texts that were only ever to be read by the initiated. The ritual itself, though never fully described in surviving records, appears in allegorical form. Sequences of movement, sacred objects, and ritualized chants. The symbolism is so precise that it seems deliberately designed to veil its purpose, presenting it as spiritual doctrine rather than the potential key to human transformation. Here, as in Sumer, one encounters the paradox: knowledge powerful enough to shape consciousness, yet hidden to prevent misuse, perhaps hinting at an early understanding of both the possibilities and dangers inherent in unlocking human potential. Fast forward to the medieval era, and traces of the ritual appear in Europe, often entwined with secretive religious and mystical societies. Monasteries, cloisters, and hidden abbeys became repositories for knowledge that mainstream society was not meant to access. Manuscripts survive in scattered fragments, penned by hands long dead, describing enigmatic symbols, incantations, and sequences of action whose meaning is partially lost to time. The Knights Templar, who have fascinated historians and conspiracy theorists alike, are rumored to have discovered these fragments during their travels in the Holy Land. Some scholars suggest that the Templars recognized the potential of such a ritual and took extraordinary measures to preserve and protect it, hiding it in coded manuscripts, secret chambers, or even in plain sight under the guise of religious devotion. History records their power, their downfall, and the mysterious disappearance of many artifacts, leading one to wonder whether their secret knowledge was one of the reasons they were ultimately hunted and destroyed. Even in distant lands, similar rituals appear. Ancient India's Tantra traditions describe ceremonies that claim to awaken hidden capacities of the mind and body. Shamanic rites across the Americas invoke altered states of consciousness and access to hidden realms. In Africa, secret societies perform ceremonies shrouded in symbolism, passed down orally from generation to generation. Though these practices differ in form, They share a common thread: the deliberate concealment of their most potent elements. Across civilizations, humanity seems to have stumbled upon techniques capable of unlocking extraordinary potential. Yet, paradoxically, these discoveries were often shrouded in secrecy, leaving only fragments and coded hints for posterity. The ritual's recurring appearance across time and geography raises an unsettling question. Is this mere coincidence, or evidence of a single source of forbidden knowledge, passed down and preserved through clandestine networks over millennia? Those who have studied these patterns argue that the consistency of the elements, sacred sequences, objects of power, and symbolic gestures cannot be ignored. Perhaps it was deliberately designed to survive through hidden channels, accessible only to those with the skill and insight to interpret it. Every civilization that mentions or encodes fragments of this ritual seems to understand one fundamental truth: knowledge of this magnitude is dangerous in untrained hands. It is not meant for the masses, and history's silence on it may be a warning in itself. Today, scholars, historians, and independent researchers continue to piece together these fragmented traces. Every clay tablet, scroll, and cryptic manuscript is a puzzle piece, suggesting the existence of something far more potent than conventional history has acknowledged. Even a single symbol or phrase can spark speculation about the ritual's purpose and potential effects. Mainstream academia often dismisses these pursuits as pseudo-history. Yet the persistence of the ritual in diverse cultures and texts raises a compelling argument. There may be a hidden thread of ancient wisdom, deliberately scattered, that invites only the most curious and persistent to attempt its reconstruction. And it is in this tantalizing space, the intersection of myth, history, and forbidden knowledge, that our journey truly begins. Throughout history, the pursuit of forbidden knowledge has rarely been a solitary endeavor. Those who glimpsed fragments of the ancient ritual often found themselves drawn into networks of secrecy, organizations dedicated to preserving and protecting what the masses were never meant to know. These secret societies, shrouded in myth and legend, serve as custodians of the ritual's enigmatic wisdom. From the shadowed corridors of medieval Europe to the hidden chambers of remote monasteries, these guardians operated under strict oaths, ensuring that the ritual remained concealed from prying eyes while subtly influencing the course of history through their actions and decisions. One of the most storied custodians of hidden knowledge was the Knights Templar. Founded during the Crusades, the Templars were renowned not only for their military prowess, but also for their rumored access to sacred secrets. According to surviving accounts and whispered legends, during their campaigns in the Holy Land, the Templars discovered fragments of manuscripts and relics that contained veiled instructions of the forbidden ritual. The texts were written in coded languages, layered with symbolism, requiring advanced understanding to decode. While mainstream historians often dismiss these claims as fanciful myth, the precision of certain Templar carvings, architectural designs, and their meticulous record-keeping suggest a deep preoccupation with hidden knowledge, potentially linked to powers beyond ordinary comprehension. The Templars' sudden downfall and the systematic destruction of their archives only deepened the mystery, fueling speculation that the ritual they protected was too powerful or too dangerous to survive in untrained hands. The Rosicrucians, emerging in Europe during the early 17th century, continued this tradition of clandestine guardianship. Ostensibly a philosophical and mystical order, they claimed to possess secret wisdom passed down from ancient civilizations. Their manifestos hinted at techniques to awaken latent human potential, alluding to knowledge that mirrored the elusive elements of the forbidden ritual. They operated in a world of allegories and coded language, deliberately obscuring practical details while providing enough guidance for the initiated to interpret. Scholars who have examined Rosicrucian texts note an uncanny familiarity with symbolic sequences, cosmic alignments, and ritualized practices that appear strikingly similar to those found in far older civilizations. This suggests that the ritual was not merely a localized curiosity, but a trans-historical phenomenon, carefully guarded by societies capable of interpreting its meaning and passing it down through generations. Other less-known societies have also been linked to the preservation of forbidden knowledge. In the shadows of Renaissance Italy, clandestine cabals of alchemists and philosophers worked tirelessly to understand and manipulate forces they claimed lay beyond ordinary perception. These gatherings, often held in hidden chambers beneath city streets or secluded villas, combined intellectual pursuit with spiritual practice. Their texts describe processes involving rare materials, precise timing, and symbolic gestures, elements that resonate with reports of the ritual. Though much of this knowledge was deliberately destroyed or scattered to avoid persecution, traces remain, hinting at a carefully maintained chain of guardianship. Each secret society acted not only as a custodian, but also as a filter, ensuring that only those deemed worthy or capable could access the ritual's most potent aspects. In the East, similar networks existed. Indian tantric lineages, often hidden in remote mountains or deep within forests, passed down complex spiritual rites across generations. The rituals described in these traditions speak of awakening dormant faculties of the mind and body, of connecting with forces that lie beyond the sensory world. Unlike Western secret societies, which often cloak their knowledge in allegory, these lineages relied on oral transmission, precise instruction, and rigorous initiation. Yet the parallels are striking. Whether in Europe or Asia, there exists a pattern of selective preservation, an acknowledgement that some knowledge is too dangerous or too transformative to be released to the uninitiated. The consistency of these networks across geography and time suggests more than coincidence. It implies a shared understanding of the ritual's potential, a collective recognition of both its power and its peril. Members of these societies were not merely seekers of esoteric wisdom. They were vigilant stewards, maintaining the delicate balance between revelation and concealment. Every manuscript copied, every artifact preserved, every secret gesture passed down was a deliberate act of safeguarding. The risk was enormous. Exposure could lead to persecution, social upheaval, or even the collapse of entire organizations. Yet the compulsion to protect the ritual endured, carried forward by individuals whose devotion to knowledge outweighed personal safety. Within these societies, the initiation process was itself a form of protection. Candidates were tested for mental acuity, moral discipline, and spiritual readiness before being allowed access to even the most basic fragments of ritual knowledge. Those deemed unworthy were left with only allegories, symbols, or partial insights, enough to inspire but not enough to wield power recklessly. This selective approach ensured that the ritual's core remained intact and guarded, its most dangerous elements shielded from the uninformed. Across centuries, this method of controlled dissemination allowed the ritual to survive despite wars, inquisitions, and the relentless march of time, creating an invisible web connecting those who understood its significance. The legacy of these societies is still visible, though often hidden in plain sight. Architectural designs, religious symbolism, and even literature carry coded messages, waiting to be decoded by the diligent observer. Some believe that modern secret societies, from fraternal organizations to esoteric academies, continue this tradition, preserving fragments of the ritual and studying its principles in secrecy. The continuity is remarkable. What began as whispered knowledge in ancient temples and monasteries may very well persist today, a testament to humanity's enduring fascination with power, mystery, and the unknown. The allure of these guardians lies not only in what they protect, but in the tension between revelation and concealment. They provide a window into a world where knowledge is sacred, power is potential, and the boundary between myth and reality is deliberately blurred. By understanding their methods, motives, and the care with which they preserve the forbidden ritual, we begin to glimpse the extraordinary lengths to which humans will go to safeguard knowledge capable of altering consciousness. It is within this hidden network, invisible to the uninitiated, that the seeds of the ritual survive, waiting for those capable of discerning patterns, interpreting symbols, and daring to approach the edge of understanding. To understand the forbidden ritual, one must first examine its components, each imbued with purpose, symbolism, and potential power. These are not merely props or decorative relics. They're integral, precise elements of a practice designed to unlock forces that ordinary humans scarcely comprehend. Over centuries, scholars and mystics have noted that rituals capable of extraordinary results are never random. Every symbol drawn, every gesture performed, and every object used carries meaning, calibrated to influence consciousness, energy, or perception. For the forbidden ritual, the combination of symbols, artifacts, and tools is said to form a delicate web, a choreography of intention that, when executed correctly, can bridge the mundane and the extraordinary. The first essential component is the symbols themselves. Found carved into temple walls, etched into ancient manuscripts, or hidden in secret codes, these symbols are far more than art. They serve as conduits of energy, encoding instructions that guide the participant's mind toward heightened awareness or altered perception. In some cases, the symbols take geometric forms, resembling sacred patterns seen in pyramids, mandalas, and cathedrals. These geometric shapes are said to resonate with natural laws, vibrating at frequencies that subtly align consciousness with forces beyond the physical realm. Mystics throughout history have claimed that even tracing these symbols with one's fingers or meditating upon them can begin the process of awakening latent faculties, hinting at why such knowledge was carefully guarded. A misalignment of intention could produce unpredictable, even dangerous results. Next are the artifacts, tangible objects that serve as anchors for the ritual's power. Across civilizations, these artifacts take various forms: ceremonial blades, chalices, engraved stones, and finely crafted amulets. Many of these objects were considered sacred in their own right, possessing histories that predated the societies that used them in the ritual. In Egypt, for instance, certain ceremonial implements were believed to channel divine energy, their shapes and inscriptions meticulously designed to interface with unseen forces. In Europe, Templar relics and Rosicrucian objects served not only as ceremonial tools, but also as repositories of encoded knowledge, inscribed with symbols that instructed the adept in the correct performance of the ritual. Each artifact is, in essence, a vessel of intention, a physical anchor that allows the practitioner to focus energy, align consciousness, and navigate the complexities of the ceremony. Timing is another critical element, often overlooked by casual observers. Ancient texts and manuscripts frequently mention precise moments for performing ritual actions: the alignment of planets, the lunar phase, or the position of specific stars in the night sky. These temporal cues are not mere superstition. They're believed to synchronize the practitioner with larger cosmic cycles, amplifying the ritual's effectiveness. Historical accounts suggest that miscalculating these timings could render the ritual ineffective or, worse, produce harmful consequences. For example, alchemical manuscripts describe planetary alignments as crucial for directing subtle energies through artifacts, while Eastern Tantric texts emphasize the role of lunar phases in preparing the body and mind for transcendence. Together, these temporal components form a rhythm that orchestrates the ritual's sequence, ensuring that each movement, each gesture, and each invocation aligns with the broader currents of cosmic energy. Chants, spoken words, and tonal vibrations constitute another layer of the ritual. Across cultures, the spoken word has been recognized as a conduit of power. Ancient Sanskrit mantras, Egyptian invocations, and European ceremonial chants all hint at the capacity of sound to influence consciousness and, potentially, reality itself. In the context of the forbidden ritual, these vocalizations are more than prayers or affirmations. They are precise sequences designed to resonate with the symbols and artifacts, amplifying the practitioner's intent. Mispronunciation or deviation from the prescribed tones is said to reduce the ritual's effectiveness, emphasizing the exacting precision required. The careful blending of sound, gesture, and object creates a multi-sensory convergence, a symphony of intention that elevates the ritual from mere ceremony to a potent mechanism of transformation. Physical gestures, too, play an indispensable role. From the positioning of hands to the movement of the body through sacred space, every action is deliberate. In Egyptian rites, the gestures mirrored the movement of celestial bodies, symbolically aligning the practitioner with cosmic forces. In Western esoteric traditions, hand signs and bodily postures encode secret knowledge, acting as mnemonic devices to ensure each step of the ritual is executed with perfect fidelity. These gestures are not arbitrary. They are carefully choreographed to interact with symbols, artifacts, and sound, creating a holistic framework that unites mind, body, and energy. Observing these movements, even in fragments preserved in manuscripts, conveys a sense of ritualistic discipline that elevates the practice from mere superstition to precise, experiential knowledge. Finally, the space in which the ritual occurs is itself a component. Sacred geometry, directional alignment, and environmental conditions were carefully considered by practitioners throughout history. In ancient temples, the placement of altars, the orientation of chambers, and even the materials used in construction were believed to influence the ritual's potency. In some traditions, secluded natural locations, mountain peaks, hidden groves, or subterranean caves, were chosen to isolate and focus the practitioner's attention, creating an environment conducive to heightened awareness and energy manipulation. The interplay between physical space and ritual action underscores the sophisticated understanding these societies had of the interconnectedness between environment, intention, and outcome. Taken together, symbols, artifacts, gestures, chants, timing, and space form a complex, interdependent system. Each element is a key, and all must be employed in harmony. Historical fragments, cryptic illustrations, and surviving manuscripts suggest that the ritual's designers understood both the power and danger inherent in their work. By codifying these elements in allegory, symbolism, and selective oral transmission, they ensured that only those who could comprehend the intricacy and responsibility of the practice could attempt it. This careful preservation speaks not only to the ritual's potency, but to its potential risk, hinting at why civilizations went to extraordinary lengths to conceal it from the uninitiated. Even today, modern researchers, scholars, and mystics struggle to reconstruct the ritual. Surviving artifacts, texts, and symbols are incomplete, scattered across time and space. Yet the consistent patterns are unmistakable. Across continents and centuries, the interplay of symbols, tools, gestures, sound, and timing suggests a profound understanding of forces that transcend ordinary human perception. Whether this nod system, carefully concealed, deliberately preserved, and powerful beyond what casual observation can reveal. History is not only written in stone, parchment, and symbols. It is whispered through the voices of those who lived on the fringes of the known world. Ancient testimonies, fragmented, cryptic, and often dismissed as myth, offer glimpses into the forbidden ritual, revealing its presence across time and culture. These accounts are both tantalizing and troubling. They speak of individuals who encountered extraordinary experiences, sudden insights, and unexplainable phenomena, hinting at a power that defies ordinary human understanding. Yet these testimonies are almost always veiled, recounted in allegory or myth, leaving the reader to discern truth from exaggeration or distortion. In Mesopotamia, some of the earliest records hint at practitioners who achieved extraordinary feats, described as men of the secret knowledge or keepers of the hidden way. Clay tablets contain fragmented instructions for ceremonies and accounts of individuals who entered sacred chambers and emerged changed. These individuals are said to have possessed foresight, enhanced perception, or the ability to manipulate natural forces, although the text stops short of fully explaining the mechanics. The gaps are striking, suggesting intentional concealment. The chroniclers knew something significant had occurred, but refrained from revealing details that might be misused. Scholars today debate whether these stories represent allegorical exaggeration or genuine encounters with a ritual whose methods and effects were intentionally obscured. Egyptian records also preserve intriguing accounts. Priests and scribes chronicled rituals performed in the shadow of grand temples, often attributing remarkable occurrences to divine intervention. Yet when examined closely, these texts hint at human agency guided by careful ritual practice. A young scribe in Thebes might recount witnessing a colleague enter a sacred chamber at dawn, perform intricate movements and gestures with artifacts, and emerge with a sudden clarity of vision or knowledge of distant events. These accounts blur the line between the mystical and the practical, suggesting that the ritual operated at a level of consciousness that transcended ordinary human experience. It is as if the ritual acted as a catalyst, unlocking latent abilities in those trained and prepared to receive its effects. In Europe, the Middle Ages produced its own cryptic testimonies. Monastic records occasionally note individuals who exhibited extraordinary insight, often described as illumined or touched by divine wisdom. The language is deliberately cautious, as if the chroniclers feared persecution or misunderstanding. In some cases, diaries and letters from travelers and scholars describe encounters with secretive orders who performed mysterious ceremonies late at night, producing effects that left witnesses both awestruck and unnerved. A scholar might describe a chamber glowing with candlelight as participants moved with precision, chanting in languages that seemed both familiar and alien. The result, according to these accounts, was a heightened state of awareness, an uncanny ability to perceive hidden truths, or a fleeting glimpse into forces beyond ordinary comprehension. Legends further preserve these testimonies in narrative form. In many cultures, stories of wise sages, wandering mystics, and initiates of secret orders tell of individuals who gained extraordinary power through hidden knowledge. Some tales speak of individuals who could foresee calamities, heal the sick, or influence the outcomes of conflicts, always hinting that these abilities were not inherent, but earned through careful practice, preparation, and perhaps the performance of a forbidden ritual. Native American and African traditions, similarly, recount shamans who accessed hidden realms through elaborate ceremonies, often guided by ancestral spirits or cosmic alignments. Across continents, these stories share a common motif. A disciplined seeker gains access to forces that ordinary humans cannot perceive, and the experience transforms both mind and body. Even within these ancient testimonies, there is an unmistakable tension. The knowledge is powerful, yet it is also dangerous. Many accounts include warnings, noting the fragility of human perception and the potential for catastrophe. Some practitioners are said to have been overwhelmed by the ritual, losing their sanity or vanishing mysteriously. Others achieved astonishing insight but were bound by secrecy, forbidden to share their discoveries with others. The recurrence of these cautionary tales emphasizes that the ritual was never meant for casual or unprepared use. It is a tool of transformation, yes, but one that demands respect, discipline, and understanding. Modern researchers and esoteric scholars often view these testimonies with a mix of skepticism and intrigue. While the language and context may differ from contemporary standards of historical accuracy, the consistency of reported phenomena across time and geography is compelling. From Mesopotamian scribes to Egyptian priests, medieval scholars to tribal shamans, the recurring theme is unmistakable. Certain individuals accessed knowledge or abilities through practices that were carefully codified, deliberately concealed, and transformative in nature. Even if one discounts the supernatural interpretations, these testimonies suggest a sophisticated understanding of human consciousness and potential that predates modern psychology and neuroscience by millennia. These ancient accounts, however incomplete or allegorical, serve a crucial function. They preserve the memory of a practice whose essence might otherwise be lost. They act as both a guide and a warning for those who seek to explore the forbidden ritual today. By studying these fragments, diaries, tablets, inscriptions, legends, and oral histories. Modern seekers can begin to reconstruct the steps, principles, and precautions necessary to approach the ritual responsibly. The testimonies bridge the gap between myth and experience, revealing that the forbidden ritual was never merely theoretical. It was lived, enacted, and documented, albeit in a veiled form. Ultimately, the weight of these ancient testimonies is not in their literal accuracy, but in their consistency and their cumulative message. Across cultures and epochs, the forbidden ritual emerges as a real, transformative practice, carefully guarded, meticulously codified, and respected for its potential and peril. The stories tell of human ambition, curiosity, and the pursuit of knowledge, but they also serve as reminders of the limitations, responsibilities, and dangers inherent in engaging with forces beyond ordinary understanding. Through these testimonies, one begins to sense the contours of the forbidden ritual, not fully revealed, yet undeniably present, guiding, warning, and inspiring those willing to seek it across the chasms of time. For centuries, the forbidden ritual has existed in the realm of myth, legend, and secretive whispers. Yet, beneath the allegories, coded texts, and mystical narratives, modern science offers tantalizing clues that perhaps these practices were not purely symbolic. Could there be an underlying logic, a mechanism, or even a natural phenomenon that ancient civilizations intuitively understood? The idea may seem improbable. How could a ritual shrouded in secrecy, often described in esoteric language, align with scientific principles? And yet, researchers across psychology, neurology, quantum theory, and consciousness studies are beginning to uncover patterns that hint at an unexpected convergence between myth and measurable reality. One of the most intriguing intersections lies in human consciousness itself. Modern neuroscience has demonstrated that the brain is capable of far more than what we commonly experience. Neuroplasticity allows the mind to rewire itself in response to stimulus and altered states of consciousness, induced by meditation, sensory deprivation, or rhythmic sound, can unlock latent cognitive abilities. Some psychologists speculate that the ritual's components, geometric symbols, precise timing, and choreographed gestures, may have been early techniques for manipulating these altered states. The combination of focused attention, symbolic meaning, and environmental cues could, in theory, create heightened mental acuity, increased intuition, or extraordinary memory recall. In other words, the powers attributed to the ritual might stem from sophisticated cognitive techniques encoded in allegory and ceremony, understood intuitively long before modern science could describe them. Physics and quantum theory also offer provocative parallels. Concepts such as resonance, entanglement, and energy fields have revolutionized our understanding of reality. Certain proponents of consciousness study suggest that the ritual's alignment with celestial events, sacred geometry, and precise timing could influence subtle energies that interact with the human mind. While these ideas remain speculative and controversial within mainstream science, the correlation between ritualized sequences and cosmic or energetic alignment is undeniable in historical texts. Could ancient civilizations have intuitively harnessed principles that we are only beginning to formalize in theoretical models? The ritual, in this light, is not merely superstition. It could represent an experiential interaction with forces that modern science has only started to explore. Psychology provides further insight into the potential mechanisms of the ritual. Symbols, chants, and gestures have long been recognized as powerful tools for shaping cognition and emotional states. Carl Jung, in particular, theorized about archetypes and the collective unconscious, suggesting that certain images and patterns resonate universally within the human psyche. The ritual symbols may have been deliberately chosen to trigger deep psychological responses, activating dormant areas of perception or intuition. Chants and tonal sequences could serve as rhythmic reinforcement, guiding the mind into a state conducive to heightened awareness. Even the ritual's secretive and forbidden nature plays a role. The anticipation, the exclusivity, and the psychological tension could enhance focus, intention, and receptivity, creating a potent psychological environment for transformative experience. Historical accounts also hint at physiological effects, aligning with modern understandings of neurochemistry. Practices such as fasting, exposure to specific environments, and controlled breathing, frequently described in mystical texts, can alter hormone levels, blood flow, and brainwave activity. Ancient practitioners may have understood, through observation and trial, how to induce states of heightened awareness or altered perception safely. When combined with symbolic and ceremonial elements, these practices could amplify cognitive, emotional, and sensory capacities in ways that appear miraculous to outsiders. Viewed through this lens, the forbidden ritual may have been a sophisticated system of mind-body optimization, designed to unlock human potential in a structured and intentional manner. Skeptics, of course, remain unconvinced. Many dismiss the ritual as myth, claiming that apparent effects are coincidental or psychological in nature. Yet, the recurrence of similar practices across cultures, epochs, and continents challenges this purely dismissive view. If the ritual were purely allegorical, why would so many civilizations independently develop techniques that appear strikingly similar in principle and effect? From ancient Egyptian temple rites to Indian Tantra practices, from European ceremonial traditions to African initiation rituals, there is a pattern. Highly structured, symbolically rich, and often timed with cosmic or natural cycles. The consistency suggests that the ritual may encode knowledge of human consciousness and its interaction with the environment. Knowledge passed down in symbolic form, refined over millennia, and preserved by secretive custodians aware of its potency. Even if one cannot definitively prove supernatural outcomes, the science behind the ritual points to a fascinating reality. Ancient civilizations may have discovered techniques for unlocking human potential that modern methods are only beginning to understand. Cognitive enhancement, altered perception, heightened intuition, and psychosomatic effects could all be achievable through disciplined practice, symbolic engagement, and environmental alignment. The forbidden ritual, therefore, exists at the intersection of myth and science, a bridge between allegory and empirical possibility. What appears fantastical on the surface may, in fact, be an early attempt at systematized exploration of consciousness, intentionally encoded in secrecy to ensure responsible use. The scientific perspective does not diminish the mystery, it enhances it. By suggesting mechanisms behind the ritual, modern research offers a lens through which ancient accounts and testimonies can be reinterpreted. It also raises compelling questions. Were ancient societies aware, on some intuitive level, of principles that we are only now beginning to formalize? Did they understand the interplay of mind, body, symbol, and cosmic alignment in ways that allowed selective individuals to achieve extraordinary results? And most importantly, if these techniques are grounded in both psychological and environmental principles, what might be possible if the ritual were reconstructed responsibly in the present day? The forbidden ritual, therefore, sits at a fascinating crossroads, a legend steeped in myth, a practice preserved by secret societies, and a potential system of cognitive and energetic enhancement that science is only beginning to explore. Whether viewed as allegory, psychological technique, or proto-science, it challenges our understanding of human potential, consciousness, and the interplay between knowledge and power. The question that lingers is profound. What if the myths were not entirely fictional? What if the ritual, carefully reconstructed and responsibly approached, could reveal insights into the human mind and universe that have remained hidden for millennia? The history of the forbidden ritual is inseparable from the stories of lost manuscripts and hidden libraries, repositories of knowledge deliberately shielded from public eyes. Across centuries, civilizations have invested extraordinary effort into preserving these texts, ensuring that the secrets contained within them would endure, yet remain inaccessible to the uninitiated. From the crumbling walls of ancient monasteries to the secret vaults beneath European cathedrals, These hidden libraries acted as guardians of wisdom that could alter human understanding, consciousness, or even the trajectory of history itself. Each manuscript, often painstakingly handwritten, carried instructions, symbols, and allegories encoded with a precision designed to test the readiness of anyone attempting to decipher them. In the Middle East, the ruins of Babylon and other ancient cities hint at archives that once contained knowledge now irretrievably lost. Clay tablets, some only partially preserved, suggest the existence of sophisticated ceremonies and rites whose purposes were encoded in cuneiform. Many of these tablets describe intricate sequences of actions, celestial alignments, and ritualistic gestures, sometimes accompanied by cryptic diagrams. Scholars have spent decades attempting to reconstruct their meanings, and while the interpretations vary widely, a common thread emerges. These were not ordinary religious or ceremonial texts. They were carefully constructed blueprints for transformative practices, intentionally obscured to prevent misuse. Their survival, fragmentary as it is, underscores the deliberate efforts of ancient custodians to preserve knowledge while safeguarding it from masses. Egyptian libraries, many now lost to time, were another center for preservation. Temples, tombs, and secluded monastic schools housed scrolls of papyrus, meticulously maintained by scribes whose lives were devoted to safeguarding sacred knowledge. Among these, some texts contain enigmatic instructions that scholars believe may relate to the forbidden ritual. Unlike everyday religious documents, these texts are rich with symbolic language, layered meanings, and references to artifacts and celestial alignments. Ancient priests understood that the power encoded within these writings could be both enlightening and dangerous. As a result, access was highly restricted. Only initiates with years of training, moral discipline, and comprehension of complex symbolic systems could attempt to interpret and apply them. Europe, too, preserves tantalizing hints of hidden libraries. During the Renaissance, scholars and mystics collected, copied, and concealed manuscripts containing esoteric knowledge from antiquity. Some of these collections were absorbed into monastic libraries, while others were sequestered in private estates, accessible only to those deemed worthy. The Codex Gigas, the Voynich manuscript, and other enigmatic texts may hint at the types of knowledge that these guardians sought to protect, blending ritual instructions, symbolic systems, and encoded language. Though mainstream historians often dismiss these manuscripts as curiosities or unsolvable enigmas, the meticulous detail within them suggests deliberate encoding, possibly intended to conceal the ritual's true purpose while leaving hints for the initiated. Hidden libraries also appear in less conspicuous places, beneath city streets, in mountain caves, and within private collections. These repositories were often the result of desperate preservation efforts during periods of upheaval, wars, conquests, or religious persecution. Historical records describe monks fleeing invading armies, carrying rare manuscripts to remote locations, ensuring the continuity of esoteric knowledge. In other cases, wealthy patrons or secret societies accumulated texts to protect them from destruction, hiding them in secret chambers or vaults. The persistence of these texts, despite centuries of chaos, testifies to the extraordinary lengths humans have gone to preserve knowledge that is powerful, dangerous, and transformative. The content of these manuscripts often combines multiple layers of instruction. Diagrams and symbols provide guidance for rituals, while allegorical narratives encode ethical principles, moral preparation, and warnings about potential dangers. Texts may also include star charts, botanical references, and instructions for artifact preparation, each element meticulously designed to ensure that the practitioner is adequately prepared, disciplined, and aligned with natural or cosmic forces. It is not enough to read the words. One must understand the interconnections between symbol, action, timing, and intention. Misinterpretation could render the ritual ineffective, or worse, produce unforeseen consequences, which explains why so much effort was devoted to encoding and concealing the information. Modern researchers, though often restricted by access and authenticity concerns, continue to seek out these hidden libraries. The thrill of discovering a previously unknown manuscript, a cryptic marginal note, or a coded illustration is immeasurable. Even fragments of text can provide insight into centuries of human endeavor, offering glimpses into the techniques, principles, and philosophies that underpin the forbidden ritual. Every discovery reinforces the notion that the ritual was a trans-historical pursuit, shared and adapted across cultures, refined and protected through painstaking secrecy. The manuscripts themselves, therefore, are not just sources of knowledge. They are historical evidence of the ritual's enduring significance and the meticulous care devoted to its preservation. Yet the very act of hiding these manuscripts has contributed to the aura of mystery surrounding the forbidden ritual. Many texts were deliberately designed to be deciphered only by the diligent, the prepared, and the morally capable. Symbolism, coded language, and allegorical narrative functioned as both a protective barrier and a test of readiness. This deliberate obfuscation ensures that the ritual, while persistent across history, remains elusive, accessible only to those capable of interpreting its fragmented wisdom. In this way, the manuscripts themselves become a form of ritual, requiring patience, observation, and discernment before their true purpose can be approached. The legacy of lost manuscripts and hidden libraries is profound. They demonstrate that the forbidden ritual was never merely theoretical or allegorical. It was a practical, codified system of knowledge, preserved through centuries of dedication and secrecy. These libraries serve as bridges between past and present, offering modern seekers the rare opportunity to trace the threads of ancient wisdom, uncover fragments of ritual practice, and engage with the echoes of human ambition and ingenuity. They remind us that while the ritual remains hidden, it is neither forgotten nor entirely inaccessible. It waits in the shadows, patiently preserved by generations who understood both its promise and its peril. The forbidden ritual is not merely a relic of the distant past. Its echoes can still be traced in modern times, subtly influencing individuals, secret societies, and even technological research. While centuries of secrecy ensured that most of the ritual's practical knowledge remained inaccessible, fragments and traces have persisted, adapted, and occasionally resurfaced. Today, the question is no longer solely about survival of manuscripts or oral traditions. Modern investigators, scholars, and practitioners of esoteric arts have begun to explore whether the ritual can be reconstructed, interpreted, or at least understood within contemporary frameworks of consciousness and psychology. One of the most fascinating aspects of modern encounters with the ritual is the intersection between secrecy and discovery. Contemporary secret societies, often less hierarchical than their historical predecessors, claim to preserve fragments of ritual knowledge. These groups operate under codes of discretion, seeking to protect what remains from misuse. They gather manuscripts, symbols, and ceremonial tools, attempting to decode centuries-old texts. Members describe experiences that echo historical testimonies, heightened awareness, unusual perceptions, and a deep sense of connection to larger patterns in the universe. While skeptics dismiss such accounts as psychological phenomena or group suggestion, the consistency of reports across multiple societies raises questions. Could the principles encoded in the ritual continue to operate in modern contexts, even without complete reconstruction? In the academic world, researchers in psychology, neuroscience, and consciousness studies have begun to explore phenomena that may align with what ancient practitioners described. Meditation techniques, sensory isolation, and rhythmic chanting, key elements of many historical rituals, have measurable effects on brain activity, cognitive function, and emotional regulation. In some cases, practitioners report enhanced memory, intuition, or problem-solving abilities after engaging with structured ritual-like practices. These findings suggest that, at least in part, the ritual's effects may be grounded in sophisticated techniques for influencing human perception and cognition. Modern science may provide the missing framework to explain what ancient societies encoded in allegory, symbolism, and ceremonial precision. The influence of the ritual can also be traced through literature, art, and philosophy. Authors and thinkers across the 19th and 20th centuries referenced hidden knowledge, secret orders, and transformative practices that bear resemblance to the forbidden ritual. The recurrence of these themes suggests that fragments of the ritual's principles had already permeated cultural consciousness, even if the original instructions were lost or obscured. In some instances, works of fiction, allegorical poetry, and philosophical treatises may have served a dual purpose, entertaining audiences while preserving subtle instructions for those capable of recognizing their significance. It is as though the ritual, intentionally or not, adapted to survive in symbolic form within modern culture. Technological advances also invite speculation. Some modern esoteric practitioners suggest that certain frequencies, electromagnetic fields, or digital visualizations could be used to replicate aspects of the ritual's effects. While experimental and controversial, these efforts reflect a long-standing human desire to bridge the ancient with the modern, to access hidden potential through new means. The combination of historical methodology and contemporary tools suggests that the ritual is not frozen in the past. Rather, it is a living framework, adaptable to evolving understanding of human consciousness and the physical world. The pursuit of these connections, however, remains perilous, demanding both respect for tradition and caution in application. Even popular culture reflects the enduring fascination with forbidden knowledge. Films, novels, and documentaries often reference secret societies, hidden powers, and ancient rituals, frequently drawing inspiration from the same historical fragments and manuscripts explored by modern scholars. These narratives may seem fictional, yet they mirror centuries-old accounts of initiates, transformations, and guarded wisdom. The persistence of these motifs highlights a universal human curiosity, the desire to access knowledge that lies beyond conventional perception, the thrill of discovering secrets that could empower or overwhelm. It also demonstrates that the forbidden ritual, while elusive, continues to occupy the imagination, bridging the historical and the contemporary in a continuous thread of fascination. The ethical dimension of engaging with the ritual in modern times cannot be overlooked. Unlike historical practitioners, contemporary seekers operate in a world of instant communication, digital dissemination, and global exposure. Any attempt to reconstruct or experiment with the ritual carries risks of misinterpretation, misuse, or cultural appropriation. Responsible scholars emphasize that understanding the ritual requires not only intellectual study, but also moral discernment, preparation, and discipline. Modern attempts to engage with it must respect both the original context and the potential consequences, echoing the centuries-old warnings encoded in prophecies, testimonies, and manuscripts. The challenge lies in balancing curiosity with caution, insight with humility. Ultimately, the forbidden ritual in modern times serves as a bridge between the past and the present, connecting ancient wisdom with contemporary exploration of human potential. Its fragments, whether preserved in manuscripts, secret societies, or cultural motifs, invite us to consider the extraordinary capabilities of the human mind and the careful stewardship required when engaging with knowledge of this magnitude. While the ritual may never be fully reconstructed, its influence persists, shaping thought, inspiring inquiry, and challenging assumptions about the limits of consciousness. For those willing to seek it, the ritual is not a distant legend. It is a living, evolving mystery, inviting careful exploration, ethical engagement, and profound respect for the hidden forces it embodies. The forbidden ritual, though ancient and shrouded in secrecy, has drawn the attention of modern seekers, individuals willing to devote years of study, discipline, and personal sacrifice in the hope of glimpsing its power. These contemporary explorers range from scholars of esoteric traditions to meditators, ritualists, and even lone adventurers tracing the faint echoes of manuscripts, symbols, and legends across the globe. Unlike historical initiates, modern seekers often operate in a world saturated with information, digital communication, and scientific scrutiny. This duality, ancient practice meeting contemporary awareness, creates both unprecedented opportunities and extraordinary risks, as the ritual's enigmatic power remains largely untested in the modern context. Some modern practitioners describe experiences that parallel historical testimonies, suggesting that the ritual, in some form, may retain its transformative potential. Individuals report heightened intuition, sudden clarity of thought, and unexplainable synchronicities after engaging with reconstructed elements of the ritual. For instance, a researcher who spent months studying manuscripts from hidden European libraries described a sense of temporal and spatial fluidity during a solitary ceremonial experiment. Objects seemed charged with latent meaning. Symbols appeared to resonate with mental focus, and the alignment of timing, gestures, and sound produced a profound sense of interconnectedness with the surrounding environment. While these experiences are anecdotal, their consistency across multiple independent seekers is striking and cannot be dismissed outright. Encounters with modern secret societies add another layer of intrigue. Some contemporary organizations claim direct lineage from historical custodians of the ritual. Membership is often restricted, requiring rigorous assessment of mental acuity, moral integrity, and spiritual readiness. Within these societies, seekers are exposed to fragments of manuscripts, ceremonial protocols, and symbolic instruction, though always in a carefully controlled manner. Observers note that the experiences described, enhanced perception, dreamlike insights, and sudden problem-solving capabilities, bear a remarkable resemblance to accounts from centuries past. The persistence of these effects raises profound questions. Are these groups maintaining more than tradition? Could they possess techniques that genuinely tap into previously concealed aspects of human potential? While some modern encounters are structured and disciplined, others are accidental or experimental, highlighting the ritual's enduring allure. Individuals drawn to ancient ruins, hidden manuscripts, or esoteric texts sometimes attempt to reconstruct aspects of the practice independently. These experiences can be enlightening, but are often accompanied by warnings. The ritual demands more than curiosity. Mistiming, misinterpretation, or lack of moral and mental preparation can lead to disorientation, psychological strain, or the unsettling perception of forces beyond comprehension. This risk mirrors historical cautionary accounts, reinforcing the notion that the ritual is not merely symbolic, but a structured system that interacts with human consciousness in profound and potentially destabilizing ways. Technology has also introduced novel dimensions to modern engagement with the ritual. Digital reconstructions of symbols, interactive virtual environments, and precise timing tools allow seekers to simulate aspects of the practice with unprecedented accuracy. While this approach lacks the tangible artifacts and sacred spaces of historical practice, it offers new methods for exploring the principles underlying the ritual. Some practitioners report that even digital simulations, when combined with focused intention and ritualized gestures, can produce subtle shifts in perception, concentration, and emotional state. These findings suggest that the ritual's power may not solely reside in physical artifacts, but in the precise orchestration of attention, symbolism, and intention, a principle consistent with both ancient texts and modern psychological research. Ethics play a central role in modern encounters. Contemporary seekers often grapple with questions of responsibility. How much knowledge is safe to pursue, and to what extent should potentially dangerous practices be attempted without guidance? Historical manuscripts and testimonies repeatedly emphasize moral preparation, discipline, and the readiness of the practitioner. Modern seekers, confronted with unprecedented access to fragmented knowledge, must navigate this delicate balance. The duality of curiosity and caution reflects the ritual's core tension. The very knowledge that can illuminate and transform is the same that can mislead or harm if approached recklessly. Despite these challenges, modern seekers contribute to the evolving understanding of the forbidden ritual. Through meticulous study of surviving manuscripts, observation of historical patterns, and disciplined experimentation, they create a bridge between past and present. Their accounts, carefully documented and often shared within controlled circles, expand the living history of the ritual, offering insight into its potential, limitations, and ethical considerations. The persistence of these modern encounters demonstrates that the ritual's allure is not merely historical curiosity. It is a continuing exploration of human potential, consciousness, and the boundaries of knowledge. In many ways, modern seekers echo the roles of ancient custodians. They preserve fragments of knowledge, decode symbols, and maintain ethical standards, all while navigating the tension between revelation and concealment. Each encounter reinforces the lesson that the forbidden ritual is not simply a set of actions, but a dynamic system of knowledge, intention, and moral discipline. The ritual's survival in modern times, through seekers, secret societies, and scholarly inquiry, suggests that its principles continue to resonate across centuries, adapted to new contexts, yet fundamentally unchanged in their emphasis on preparation, precision, and respect for hidden forces. Ultimately, the accounts of modern seekers illuminate a crucial truth. The forbidden ritual is not merely an artifact of the past, but a living, evolving practice. Its principles endure in fragmented manuscripts, oral traditions, and contemporary explorations, challenging us to reconsider what is possible when knowledge, intention, and discipline converge. While full mastery may remain elusive, these encounters reveal that the ritual's transformative potential is not entirely lost. Through careful study, ethical engagement, and disciplined practice, modern seekers continue the centuries-old pursuit of understanding, bridging history and myth, and keeping the forbidden ritual alive in both consciousness and practice. The forbidden ritual, with its promise of extraordinary knowledge and hidden power, has always carried a shadow, the risk inherent in engaging with forces beyond ordinary comprehension. Historical accounts, ancient testimonies, and modern encounters converge on a singular warning. The ritual is not to be undertaken lightly. From psychological strain to physical danger, from societal repercussions to metaphysical consequences, the potential hazards are profound. Understanding these risks is essential for any seeker, scholar, or practitioner. It is not merely a question of curiosity, but of survival, morality, and readiness. Ancient manuscripts repeatedly caution that the ritual can be destabilizing. Individuals unprepared for the experience often face severe consequences, described in texts as loss of self, madness, or consumption by unseen forces. While these accounts may be cloaked in allegory, historians and psychologists agree that they likely reflect real psychological and emotional responses to intense ritualized practice. The combination of isolation, sensory focus, symbolic immersion, and heightened expectation can produce profound shifts in perception and consciousness. For the uninitiated, these shifts may be disorienting or overwhelming, resulting in confusion, paranoia, or even psychosomatic illness. Physical risks also appear repeatedly in historical accounts. Some rituals required fasting, exposure to extreme environments, or precise alignment with celestial events. Failure to follow these protocols correctly could result in physical collapse, disorientation, or injury. For instance, ancient texts describe initiates who became incapacitated after performing the ritual without proper preparation, sometimes requiring months of recovery. The physical demands were as integral to the ritual as the symbolic and cognitive elements, emphasizing that mastery required holistic readiness, mind, body, and spirit operating in unison. Ethical and societal dangers further complicate engagement with the ritual. Knowledge acquired through the ritual was historically restricted for a reason. Access to hidden powers carries responsibility. Misuse of such abilities, whether for personal gain, manipulation, or coercion, could provoke societal backlash, persecution, or exile. In medieval Europe, individuals accused of using forbidden knowledge irresponsibly often faced execution or imprisonment. In ancient Egypt, priests who mishandled sacred artifacts or rituals risked severe punishment. Even in modern times, the ethical dimension is paramount. Without moral grounding, the pursuit of power can easily lead to harm, both to oneself and to others. Metaphysical risks, though more elusive, are no less significant. Ancient texts suggest that engaging improperly with a ritual could attract unseen forces, produce spiritual imbalance, or distort the practitioner's perception of reality. Accounts from multiple cultures describe individuals haunted by visions, unable to distinguish between ordinary life and the altered states induced by ritual. Some describe encounters with entities, apparitions, or energies that could not be controlled or communicated with effectively. Whether interpreted literally or symbolically, these narratives underscore a central truth. The ritual mediates between ordinary human experience and forces that exceed comprehension, and misuse invites peril at multiple levels. Even modern practitioners report residual dangers. Seekers experimenting with reconstructed rituals describe sudden anxiety, insomnia, or disorientation, particularly when attempting elements without sufficient preparation or guidance. Some report vivid, sometimes disturbing, dreams or experiences of altered perception that persist beyond the ritual itself. While no modern practitioner has definitively claimed catastrophic outcomes akin to ancient warnings, the recurring themes of psychological strain, emotional upheaval, and moral uncertainty suggest continuity of risk. These experiences reinforce the historical narrative. The ritual is not merely symbolic, but interacts with the mind, body, and environment in profound ways, and errors or shortcuts can amplify hazards. The complexity of risk is compounded by the ritual's secrecy. Historical custodians intentionally obfuscated procedures, encoded warnings, and restricted access to ensure that only qualified, disciplined individuals could undertake the practice. In modern times, fragments of these teachings are often incomplete or scattered, increasing the likelihood of misinterpretation. A seeker attempting to reconstruct the ritual from manuscripts, oral fragments, or symbolic representations may inadvertently introduce errors with unpredictable consequences. The very nature of the ritual, its precision, timing, and alignment of multiple elements, means that even small deviations can produce effects far beyond expectation, underscoring the necessity of careful study and ethical consideration. Psychological and moral preparedness are therefore as critical as technical skill. Ancient texts emphasize meditation, contemplation, and ethical discipline as prerequisites. Initiates were often tested over months or years, assessed for emotional stability, moral integrity, and intellectual readiness. Modern seekers, in turn, are advised to cultivate similar qualities before attempting even partial reconstructions. Emotional resilience, ethical discernment, and disciplined focus are not optional. They're safeguards, ensuring that engagement with the ritual produces insight rather than harm, awareness rather than disorientation. Historical anecdotes offer stark reminders of the potential consequences of neglecting preparation. Tales of ambitious individuals who bypassed guidance, ignored ethical constraints, or misaligned ritual components often end in catastrophe. These stories serve not only as cautionary tales, but as encoded lessons, warning modern practitioners that the allure of hidden power carries commensurate responsibility. The consistency of these warnings across cultures, epochs, and continents suggests that the risk is inherent to the ritual itself, rather than the idiosyncrasy of a particular society or era. Ultimately, understanding the risks of the forbidden ritual is inseparable from understanding its power. The potential for insight, transformation, and heightened perception is profound precisely because the forces it engages are potent and precarious. To navigate these waters responsibly requires humility, discipline, and respect for both history and human psychology. The ritual is not merely an artifact of myth or legend. It is a system of knowledge, carefully encoded, carefully preserved, and intentionally restricted. The hazards it presents are a reminder that profound knowledge demands equally profound responsibility, a truth as relevant today as it was in antiquity. The forbidden ritual, though shrouded in secrecy and enigma, leaves traces not only in manuscripts, oral traditions, and testimonies, but also in tangible artifacts and relics scattered across civilizations. These objects, ornate, cryptic, and often seemingly mundane, serve as silent witnesses to practices that stretch back millennia. Temples, hidden chambers, tombs, and private collections preserve remnants of ceremonial tools, symbolic artifacts, and ritual implements whose purpose can only partially be reconstructed. Studying these relics offers profound insight into the sophistication, intention, and scope of the forbidden ritual, providing the modern seeker with physical connections to a long-forgotten, yet enduring, tradition of hidden knowledge. Among the most compelling examples are the ceremonial implements from ancient Egypt. Archaeologists have uncovered intricately carved staffs, scepters, and amulets, often embedded with hieroglyphs and sacred symbols. While some of these artifacts appear to have served decorative or religious purposes, others bear specific geometric designs, inscriptions, and material compositions that suggest functional significance within ritual practice. For example, certain amulets, when combined with chants or gestures, were believed to channel subtle forces or protect the practitioner during heightened states of awareness. The alignment of these artifacts with sacred architecture, solar cycles, and astronomical events indicates a level of precision that transcends simple symbolism. It implies that the ancient Egyptians were deliberately harnessing multidimensional effects, blending material, cognitive, and environmental components into a unified system. In Mesopotamia, clay tablets, ceremonial vessels, and engraved seals provide additional evidence. Many tablets feature diagrams that, at first glance, resemble purely ornamental patterns, but upon closer examination correspond to sequences of movement, timing, and energy flow. Vessels with unusual proportions or symbolic markings may have been used to contain substances, incense, or liquids integral to the ritual's effect. Even the smallest engraved seals, when considered alongside textual fragments, suggest a carefully codified language of action, symbol, and intention. These relics reinforce the idea that the ritual was not merely theoretical. It was enacted materially, deliberately, and systematically across different facets of human life. Artifacts from Europe, particularly from the medieval and Renaissance periods, further illustrate the sophistication of the forbidden ritual. Objects associated with secretive societies, ornate chalices, ceremonial daggers, engraved medallions, and codices bound with symbolic motifs, often incorporate mathematical precision, sacred geometry, and encoded instructions. Some artifacts appear to function as focal points for concentration or energy, intended to guide participants through complex sequences of thought, gesture, and meditation. For instance, certain medallions, when aligned with specific times of day or celestial patterns, are described in historical notes as enhancing clarity of perception or facilitating extraordinary insight. Such accounts suggest that these relics were not passive symbols but active instruments in the ritual process, amplifying and directing human intention in measurable ways. Asian civilizations offer equally fascinating examples. In China, ritual implements found in ancient tombs, bronze mirrors, engraved talismans, and ceremonial instruments often feature inscriptions describing sequences of breath, posture, and sound. Taoist manuscripts correlate these implements with meditative practices, asserting that proper engagement can harmonize internal energy flows, sharpen awareness, and connect the practitioner to cosmic forces. Similarly, in India, tantric rituals employed yantras, geometrically patterned diagrams inscribed on metal, wood, or cloth, as physical and symbolic tools to focus consciousness and intention. These artifacts were often paired with mantras, mudras, hand gestures, and precise timing to activate latent human faculties. In each case, the artifacts were integral to the ritual, serving as tangible conduits for forces that were both cognitive and cosmic in nature. Even mundane objects, when interpreted within the context of ritual, reveal hidden significance. Candles, incense burners, ceremonial bowls, and jewelry often carried symbolic resonance beyond their apparent use. Their shapes, materials, and positioning were meticulously chosen to align with principles of sacred geometry, harmonic resonance, or astrological timing. Historical texts describe the arrangement of objects within a ritual space as critical, with each placement influencing energy flow, perception, and the ritual's overall efficacy. Modern experimental studies in psychology and consciousness research suggest that environmental cues, symbolic objects, and spatial arrangement can indeed impact focus, cognition, and perception, providing a possible explanation for the persistent effectiveness of such artifacts in ritual practice. Some relics even suggest the use of advanced knowledge encoded in physical form. Intricate carvings, crystal lenses, metallic alloys, and rare minerals appear in ways that defy simple functional explanation. Scholars speculate that these materials were selected for their optical, magnetic, or energetic properties, possibly intended to interact with the practitioner's consciousness or the surrounding environment. Whether these effects were purely symbolic, metaphysical, or proto-scientific remains debated, yet the deliberate choice of materials and the meticulous craftsmanship indicate that these artifacts were far more than decorative. They were instruments designed to facilitate specific outcomes in the ritual. The provenance and preservation of these artifacts also highlight their value and danger. Many objects were deliberately hidden to prevent misuse, stored in tombs, secret chambers, or private collections under strict supervision. Others were lost to history, stolen, or destroyed during periods of upheaval, leaving only fragments for modern researchers to interpret. The fragments that survive often bear the marks of careful custodianship, including annotations, protective inscriptions, or encoded warnings. This deliberate preservation underscores the awareness of ancient practitioners. The ritual's power was real, potent, and potentially dangerous, necessitating meticulous safeguarding. Modern investigations into these artifacts face challenges but yield remarkable insight. Researchers combine archaeology, materials science, cognitive psychology, and esoteric scholarship to decode patterns and hypothesize functions. Laboratory analysis of materials reveals unexpected properties. Geometric study uncovers hidden symmetries, and ethnographic research draws parallels with surviving ritual practices. In some cases, experimental reconstruction, carefully controlled and ethical, demonstrates that the combination of ritual actions, symbolic artifacts, and environmental alignment can produce measurable effects on perception, cognition, and emotional state. While not fully replicating the legendary outcomes described in ancient accounts, these experiments validate the notion that the ritual's design was based on profound, intentional understanding of human consciousness and its interaction with the material and symbolic world. The enduring mystery of these artifacts lies in their silent testimony. Each object, from the simplest talisman to the most ornate ceremonial tool, serves as a bridge across time, connecting modern seekers with the intentions, knowledge, and experience of ancient practitioners. They provide tangible evidence that the forbidden ritual was neither purely mythical nor purely allegorical. These relics embody centuries of experimentation, observation, and codification, offering glimpses into a sophisticated system designed to unlock hidden potential while demanding respect, preparation, and ethical engagement. Ultimately, the artifacts and relics of the forbidden ritual are more than historical curiosities. They are physical embodiments of a knowledge system that spans civilizations, epochs, and cultures. They testify to the complexity, intentionality, and enduring significance of a practice designed to engage both mind and matter, consciousness and environment, symbol and action. To study them is to touch the tangible traces of extraordinary human ambition, curiosity, and understanding, and to engage with them responsibly, whether through scholarship or careful reconstruction, is to walk a path that has been guarded, revered, and feared across millennia, revealing not only the hidden power of the ritual itself, but also the depth of human potential it was designed to awaken. Throughout history, the forbidden ritual has been carefully preserved, protected, and transmitted by secret societies, groups of individuals bound not only by knowledge, but by a solemn duty to guard the power contained within the practice. These custodians operated under strict codes, balancing the pursuit of wisdom with the responsibility to prevent misuse. Their influence spans continents and centuries, from ancient temple orders to medieval guilds, Renaissance confraternities, and even modern esoteric networks. By examining these societies, one can begin to understand how the ritual was maintained, refined, and occasionally adapted, revealing a complex web of guardianship, secrecy, and philosophical tradition that ensured the survival of knowledge deemed too potent for the uninitiated. In ancient Egypt, temple priests functioned as both practitioners and custodians. The ritual was considered sacred and dangerous, its knowledge restricted to those who had undergone rigorous training in language, astronomy, mathematics, and moral philosophy. Records suggest that only initiates with impeccable discipline and unwavering ethical standards could access the most powerful aspects of the ritual. The priest's role extended beyond performance. They meticulously documented their findings, encoded instructions within symbolic hieroglyphs, and carefully safeguarded artifacts that facilitated the practice. Their devotion ensured that the ritual's essence survived millennia of political upheaval, natural disasters, and foreign invasions. Mesopotamian societies followed similar patterns. The keepers of the hidden way, as some texts describe them, maintained exclusive knowledge of ceremonies linked to cosmic cycles, divination, and consciousness manipulation. These custodians were entrusted with both instruction and oversight, responsible for selecting and preparing apprentices capable of safely engaging with the ritual. Texts warn that failure to observe these safeguards could lead to loss of alignment with the divine order, a phrase historians interpret as a coded reference to mental, emotional, or physical harm. By placing moral, psychological, and intellectual prerequisites at the center of initiation, these societies ensured that only those truly capable could interact with the forces the ritual engaged. In medieval Europe, secret societies evolved to accommodate shifting political and religious landscapes. Guilds, monastic orders, and clandestine confraternities collected and safeguarded manuscripts, relics, and ceremonial tools. They developed complex initiation processes designed to test the dedication, comprehension, and ethical integrity of prospective members. Stories from this period often describe initiates undergoing multi-stage training, including philosophical study, symbolic exercises, and meditation-like practices. Success granted access to fragmentary components of the ritual, while failure often meant exclusion, or in rare cases, cautionary punishment. These organizations functioned as both preservers and interpreters, bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and a society increasingly shaped by institutional religion and political authority. During the Renaissance, secret societies flourished as centers of intellectual and spiritual exploration. Groups such as Rosicrucians, alchemical circles, and other esoteric orders sought to integrate mystical knowledge with emerging scientific understanding. Many of their rituals incorporated geometric patterns, coded manuscripts, and symbolic artifacts, echoing the structure and intent of the ancient forbidden ritual. Membership remained exclusive, and initiation required extensive study and moral evaluation. These societies were not merely speculative. Their records indicate deliberate experimentation with perception, cognition, and environmental alignment. By combining philosophical principles, symbolic ritual, and careful documentation, they preserve the essence of the forbidden ritual while adapting it to a rapidly changing intellectual landscape. In Asia, Taoist and Tantric orders also acted as custodians, carefully transmitting practices that parallel the forbidden ritual. In China, Taoist masters passed down sequences of meditative postures, breath work, and symbolic gestures designed to harmonize internal energy and connect practitioners with cosmic forces. These practices, often encoded in cryptic texts and paired with talismans or ritual implements, were guarded within families or monastic schools. Similarly, Indian Tantra practitioners preserve techniques through oral transmission, secretive lineages, and codified instructions that combine symbolic, environmental, and meditative elements. Across cultures, custodians consistently emphasize discipline, ethical conduct, and moral readiness, highlighting the universal recognition of the ritual's power and potential danger. Modern secret societies, though often less formalized, continue this tradition. Contemporary networks dedicated to esoteric study preserve fragments of manuscripts, symbolic knowledge, and ritual techniques. Membership criteria frequently include intellectual aptitude, moral integrity, and long-term commitment to study and practice. These groups often operate under strict confidentiality, meeting in controlled environments to experiment safely with reconstructed rituals. Reports from these societies describe experiences reminiscent of historical accounts. Heightened awareness, perception of subtle connections, and profound shifts in cognition and emotion. While empirical verification is difficult, the recurrence of similar effects across independent groups suggests continuity of principle and methodology across centuries. The custodianship of the forbidden ritual reflects more than secrecy. It embodies a philosophy of responsibility. Ancient and modern societies alike recognized that the ritual's knowledge is inherently powerful, capable of producing both enlightenment and harm. By limiting access to the disciplined and ethically prepared, custodians mitigated risks while ensuring continuity. They developed multi-tiered systems of instruction, layered documentation, and encoded warnings, creating an intricate web of protection that balanced the pursuit of wisdom with the preservation of safety. In essence, they became stewards not merely of knowledge, but of human potential itself, acknowledging that mastery of hidden forces requires moral and intellectual readiness. Artifacts, manuscripts, and relics often pass through these custodians' hands, providing physical continuity to the tradition. By combining textual knowledge with ceremonial objects, custodians maintained a holistic system wherein the material, symbolic, and cognitive aspects of the ritual were inseparable. This integration ensured that even partial knowledge could not be misapplied without consequence. Success required comprehensive preparation and understanding. In effect, the secret societies served as living libraries, laboratories, and guardians, bridging history and the present, myth and practical application. The enduring presence of these custodians underscores a central theme. The forbidden ritual is both timeless and adaptable. Across cultures and epochs, the principle of stewardship remains constant, reflecting a deep understanding of human nature and the delicate balance between curiosity, power, and ethical responsibility. Modern seekers benefit from this lineage, gaining access to fragments, guidance, and moral frameworks that allow exploration with greater safety and insight. At the same time, the mystery endures. Each generation of custodians retains knowledge, ensuring that the ritual remains both accessible to the prepared and concealed from the unready, preserving its potency and peril. Ultimately, secret societies illuminate the true scope of the forbidden ritual. Their existence confirms that the ritual is not mere legend or isolated practice. It is a system of knowledge meticulously curated, transmitted, and protected. These custodians, ancient priests, medieval confraternities, Taoist masters, tantric lineages, and modern esoteric networks, represent the collective memory and ethical framework necessary to engage responsibly with forces that extend beyond ordinary perception. By studying these societies, one gains not only historical insight, but also a living blueprint of preparation, discipline, and moral readiness, essential components for anyone seeking to navigate the profound mysteries of the forbidden ritual. The forbidden ritual has never existed in a vacuum. Across cultures and centuries, it has been entwined with prophecies, cryptic warnings, and philosophical teachings that underscore its profound influence and inherent danger. From ancient civilizations to modern interpretations, the ritual has inspired cautionary narratives, allegorical tales, and predictive writings that speak to its transformative power. These prophecies do not merely recount events, They encode ethical principles, psychological insights, and metaphysical truths, highlighting the delicate balance between knowledge and responsibility. By examining these warnings, one gains insight into the historical and cultural significance of the ritual, the forces it engages, and the enduring fascination it exerts on humanity. In ancient Egypt, texts such as the Pyramid texts and the Book of the Dead contain veiled references to practices that bear remarkable resemblance to the forbidden ritual. These writings, often inscribed on tomb walls or preserved on papyrus, describe sequences of actions, symbolic gestures, and moral prerequisites for engaging with hidden forces. Embedded within these instructions are warnings about hubris, impatience, and ethical misalignment. Initiates who fail to respect these principles are described as being lost to the unseen realms, an evocative phrase suggesting both psychological and spiritual consequences. The prophecies encoded in these texts were not merely descriptive. They functioned as moral and practical guidance, ensuring that only those sufficiently prepared could attempt the ritual safely. Mesopotamian sources echo similar themes. Clay tablets and inscriptions reference the path of hidden knowledge and caution that improper engagement can provoke cosmic imbalance or personal calamity. Historical accounts describe priests and scholars who encoded practical instructions within allegorical language, ensuring that the meaning could only be discerned by those trained in symbolic interpretation. Failure to comprehend the warnings or to act with discipline and reverence could result in social, psychological, or spiritual consequences. The alignment of ethical principles with ritual practice becomes evident. The ritual is not merely a technique for accessing hidden power, but a framework for moral and intellectual development, demanding both skill and virtue. In medieval Europe, prophetic texts, alchemical treatises, and mystical writings often carried similar cautionary undertones. Esoteric philosophers and mystics spoke of forbidden arts or hidden rites, frequently encoding their insights within poetry, allegory, and cryptic symbolism. The underlying message was clear: access to transformative power without preparation, discipline, and ethical awareness leads to ruin. Many prophecies warned of ambitious individuals attempting to bypass preparation, only to succumb to mental instability, societal condemnation, or existential disorientation. Historical examples abound. Records of Hermetic scholars and occultists who overreached, disregarded warnings, or misapplied ritual knowledge often end in tragedy, underscoring the enduring relevance of these prophecies. Asian traditions offer additional insight. Taoist and Tantric lineages produce texts containing elaborate warnings, encoded within allegorical stories, metaphysical principles, and symbolic diagrams. In Taoist philosophy, alignment with the natural flow of energy is critical. Deviations caused by hubris or improper technique were believed to produce imbalance, illness, or spiritual dissonance. Tantric texts similarly emphasize the necessity of ethical readiness, disciplined guidance, and comprehension of symbolic and material components. In both cases, the warnings serve a dual function. They protect the unprepared from harm while guiding the diligent toward mastery, emphasizing that the ritual is both a practical technique and a moral endeavor. Even in modern interpretations, prophecies and warnings retain significance. Scholars, esoteric practitioners, and modern secret societies continue to emphasize the importance of ethical discipline, intellectual readiness, and psychological preparation. Contemporary texts, while often reframing the ritual in psychological, symbolic, or metaphorical terms, echo the historical warnings. Curiosity without preparation, recklessness without guidance, and ambition without ethics can produce unintended consequences. Modern accounts also describe subtle influences of the ritual on human behavior and perception, suggesting that the effects, while less dramatic than legendary accounts, are nonetheless real and demand respect. The warnings surrounding the ritual are deeply intertwined with its transformative potential. Prophecies often describe individuals or civilizations gaining sudden insight, heightened perception, or extraordinary abilities through engagement with hidden knowledge. At the same time, these texts underscore the costs. Moral failure, ethical misalignment, or psychological unpreparedness can result in catastrophic consequences. The tension between promise and peril is central to understanding the rituals.
Enduring mystique. It is not merely an artifact of legend. It is a system of knowledge designed to interact with human consciousness, ethics, and perception in profound ways. Symbolism plays a critical role in these prophecies. Encoded language, allegorical stories, and symbolic diagrams function as both guidance and test. Only those who can interpret the symbols accurately, integrate ethical principles, and apply them in practice can safely engage with the ritual's power. This approach ensured that knowledge was preserved yet protected, accessible only to the disciplined and prepared. Modern scholars studying these prophecies note recurring patterns: ethical instruction, psychological guidance, alignment with natural or cosmic cycles, and detailed sequences of action and intention. These elements reinforce the notion that the ritual was never merely ceremonial. It was a comprehensive system integrating knowledge, ethics, and action. The influence of prophecies extends beyond direct engagement with the ritual. It shapes culture, philosophy, and human understanding of hidden knowledge. Literary works, artistic expressions, and philosophical treatises often reflect the ethical and metaphysical principles encoded in these warnings. From allegorical poetry to mystical art, echoes of the ritual's principles and its cautionary tales permeate cultural consciousness. This influence demonstrates that the ritual's legacy is not confined to esoteric circles. It subtly informs human thought, moral frameworks, and imaginative exploration across civilizations. The ritual becomes both a historical artifact and a living philosophical principle, guiding ethical and cognitive engagement with power. Moreover, prophecies and warnings serve as a moral compass for modern seekers. They remind practitioners that engagement with the forbidden ritual is not merely intellectual or experimental. It is ethical and existential. Respect for the ritual, adherence to ethical principles, and careful preparation are paramount. The continued relevance of these warnings across centuries highlights the enduring tension between human curiosity, ambition, and responsibility. By acknowledging the historical weight of these prophecies, modern seekers are better equipped to navigate the complex interplay of knowledge, power, and ethical discernment. Ultimately, prophecies and warnings illuminate the true nature of the forbidden ritual. They underscore the fact that its influence extends beyond mere technique or ceremonial practice. It engages the human mind, morality, and perception, demanding discipline, respect, and comprehension. Across millennia, these messages have been preserved, encoded, and interpreted by custodians, scholars, and seekers, reinforcing the ritual's power and danger. In doing so, they offer a framework for ethical engagement, safeguarding human potential while inviting exploration, reflection, and profound understanding. In examining the prophecies and warnings surrounding the ritual, one is confronted with a delicate paradox. The knowledge is powerful yet perilous, transformative yet demanding of humility, enlightening yet contingent on preparation. It is this tension that gives the forbidden ritual its enduring fascination, its capacity to inspire awe, curiosity, and caution. Through the careful study of these prophetic texts, the diligent seeker gains not only insight into mechanics of the ritual, but also a moral and philosophical framework that has guided human engagement with hidden knowledge for centuries. The ritual is thus revealed not only as a system of action, but as a living dialogue between power, ethics, and human consciousness, continuing to influence, caution, and inspire across time.
As the journey through the forbidden ritual draws to its culmination, one is confronted by the magnitude of its mystery, the breadth of its influence, and the profound responsibility it imposes upon those who seek its knowledge. From ancient Egypt to Mesopotamia, from medieval Europe to Asia, and into modern explorations, the ritual has transcended time, culture, and geography, leaving traces not only in manuscripts, artifacts, and secret societies, but also in human consciousness itself. Its endurance is a testament to its depth, sophistication, and the allure of hidden power, while its dangers remind us of the fragility and complexity of engaging with forces beyond ordinary comprehension. The forbidden rituals narrative is one of tension and balance. Across centuries, practitioners, scholars, and seekers have walked the line between revelation and peril, knowledge and chaos, mastery and disorientation. Historical custodians, priests, initiates, secret societies, developed meticulous protocols, ethical frameworks, and symbolic systems to ensure that the ritual could be accessed safely. Modern seekers, though armed with greater access to information and technology, continue to encounter the same fundamental challenge. The ritual demands preparation, discipline, and moral integrity. Its power is not granted lightly. It must be earned through understanding, vigilance, and respect. Reflecting upon the artifacts, manuscripts, and ceremonial implements preserved through the ages, one realizes that the ritual's material components were not mere decoration. They were integral to its function. Objects imbued with symbolism, geometric precision, and rare materials acted as focal points for attention and intention, enhancing perception and connecting the practitioner to deeper currents of energy, consciousness, and alignment. The study of these relics, when paired with reconstructed practices and modern cognitive insights, demonstrates that the ritual operates on multiple levels: physical, symbolic, psychological, and perhaps even metaphysical. It is a system designed for holistic engagement, demanding the practitioner's complete presence in mind, body, and spirit. The testimonies of modern seekers reinforce this continuity. Individuals experimenting with reconstructed rituals report shifts in perception, heightened intuition, and a subtle awareness of patterns in the environment and human behavior. While these experiences may not match the legendary accounts of ancient texts, they reflect the underlying principles encoded in the ritual. The alignment of focus, symbolism, and intention produces measurable effects on cognition and consciousness. These modern encounters confirm what historical custodians understood. The ritual's transformative potential is real, yet contingent upon ethical engagement, preparation, and disciplined practice. The prophecies and warnings interwoven throughout history add another layer of resonance to the climactic resolution. They are not merely tales of hubris or allegorical morality. They are guides, encoding centuries of human observation about the consequences of misaligned ambition. They remind us that curiosity without caution can produce disorientation, ethical lapse, or harm, while humility, preparation, and reverent engagement allow the practitioner to harness hidden potential safely. The ritual, in essence, is a mirror. It reflects the practitioner's readiness, morality, and discipline, offering insight or challenge depending upon one's approach. The societal and cultural impact of the ritual is equally profound. Through secret societies, manuscripts, relics, and modern reinterpretations, the forbidden ritual has influenced artistic expression, philosophy, cognitive practice, and even organizational systems. Its principles, alignment, focus, ethical integrity, and disciplined preparation, resonate not only in esoteric circles but in broader human culture. From narrative structures in literature to symbolic art, from meditative practices to ethical frameworks, the ritual's echoes are everywhere, shaping perception, understanding, and behavior in subtle yet powerful ways. Its enduring influence reminds us that knowledge of hidden forces, though ancient, continues to inform contemporary human experience. At the climactic threshold, the practitioner, or observer, faces a choice: to engage responsibly, respecting the ritual's history, principles, and power, or to approach recklessly, ignoring the lessons of centuries. This decision is central to the narrative, for it encapsulates the essence of the forbidden ritual. The same knowledge that can illuminate, empower, and transform can also mislead, destabilize, or harm if handled without care. In understanding this duality, one grasps the ritual's enduring lesson. True mastery is inseparable from ethical integrity, disciplined practice, and humility before forces beyond ordinary perception. The forbidden ritual's ultimate resolution is both philosophical and practical. Philosophically, it demonstrates that knowledge and power are intertwined with responsibility, discipline, and moral awareness. Practically, it shows that human consciousness, perception, and intentional action are far more malleable and interconnected than commonly assumed. The ritual serves as a bridge between material artifacts and symbolic practice, between historical lineage and modern exploration, between human curiosity and ethical accountability. By synthesizing these elements, one can appreciate the ritual not only as a historical phenomenon, but as a living system of knowledge with relevance across time, culture, and individual experience. In closing, the journey through the forbidden ritual illuminates a broader truth, that the pursuit of hidden knowledge is as much a journey of self-discovery as it is a quest for power or mastery. The ritual challenges, transforms, and refines those who engage with it responsibly, offering insights into perception, morality, and the subtle currents of human consciousness. It is not merely a relic of the past, nor a theoretical construct. It is an enduring system, encoded in artifacts, manuscripts, ethical frameworks, and modern practice, continually inviting seekers to explore, reflect, and grow. As we reflect on the ritual's legacy, its warnings, and its transformative potential, one is left with a profound sense of awe and respect. The forbidden ritual is a testament to human ingenuity, ethical foresight, and the persistent quest for understanding forces that lie beyond ordinary perception. Its endurance through millennia, across cultures, societies, and epochs, underscores not only its intrinsic power, but also the universal human fascination with hidden knowledge. It is a mirror of human aspiration, reflecting both our desire for enlightenment and our need for caution. Ultimately, the forbidden ritual challenges us to consider the broader implications of hidden knowledge in our own lives. It asks us to examine our intentions, refine our discipline, and cultivate ethical awareness in the pursuit of mastery, insight, or transformation. It reminds us that knowledge, power, and consciousness are inseparable, and that engagement with hidden forces, whether through ritual, study, or contemplation, requires humility, preparation, and reverence. By integrating these lessons, one can approach not only the forbidden ritual, but also the mysteries of life itself with wisdom, responsibility, and profound curiosity. In the end, the ritual remains a living enigma, a confluence of history, myth, cognition, ethics, and human aspiration. It is a story of power, risk, and revelation, of custodians and seekers, of symbols, artifacts, and prophecies, of ancient wisdom and modern understanding. Its influence is subtle yet enduring, guiding those prepared to learn while warning those unready to tread its path. The forbidden ritual, with all its mystery and depth, continues to invite humanity into a dialogue with hidden forces, a dialogue that tests character, sharpens perception, and challenges the limits of understanding, leaving every seeker, scholar, and observer both enlightened and humbled by its enduring legacy. As the journey through the forbidden ritual draws to its culmination, one is confronted by the magnitude of its mystery, the breadth of its influence, and the profound responsibility it imposes upon those who seek its knowledge. From ancient Egypt to Mesopotamia, from medieval Europe to Asia, and into modern explorations, the ritual has transcended time, culture, and geography, leaving traces not only in manuscripts, artifacts, and secret societies, but also in human consciousness itself. Its endurance is a testament to its depth, sophistication, and the allure of hidden power, while its dangers remind us of the fragility and complexity of engaging with forces beyond ordinary comprehension. The forbidden ritual's narrative is one of tension and balance. Across centuries, practitioners, scholars, and seekers have walked the line between revelation and peril, knowledge and chaos, mastery and disorientation. Historical custodians, priests, initiates, secret societies, developed meticulous protocols, ethical frameworks, and symbolic systems to ensure that the ritual could be accessed safely. Modern seekers, though armed with greater access to information and technology, continue to encounter the same fundamental challenge. The ritual demands preparation, discipline, and moral integrity. Its power is not granted lightly. It must be earned through understanding, vigilance, and respect. Reflecting upon the artifacts, manuscripts, and ceremonial implements preserved through the ages, one realizes that the ritual's material components were not mere decoration. They were integral to its function. Objects imbued with symbolism, geometric precision, and rare materials acted as focal points for attention and intention, enhancing perception and connecting the practitioner to deeper currents of energy, consciousness, and alignment. The study of these relics, when paired with reconstructed practices and modern cognitive insights, demonstrates that the ritual operates on multiple levels: physical, symbolic, psychological, and perhaps even metaphysical. It is a system designed for holistic engagement, demanding the practitioner's complete presence in mind, body, and spirit. The testimonies of modern seekers reinforce this continuity. Individuals experimenting with reconstructed rituals report shifts in perception, heightened intuition, and a subtle awareness of patterns in the environment and human behavior. While these experiences may not match the legendary accounts of ancient texts, they reflect the underlying principles encoded in the ritual. The alignment of focus, symbolism, and intention produces measurable effects on cognition and consciousness. These modern encounters confirm what historical custodians understood. The ritual's transformative potential is real, yet contingent upon ethical engagement, preparation, and disciplined practice. The prophecies and warnings interwoven throughout history add another layer of resonance to the climactic resolution. They are not merely tales of hubris or allegorical morality. They are guides, encoding centuries of human observation about the consequences of misaligned ambition. They remind us that curiosity without caution can produce disorientation, ethical lapse, or harm, while humility, preparation, and reverent engagement allow the practitioner to harness hidden potential safely. The ritual, in essence, is a mirror. It reflects the practitioner's readiness, morality, and discipline, offering insight or challenge depending upon one's approach. The societal and cultural impact of the ritual is equally profound. Through secret societies, manuscripts, relics, and modern reinterpretations, the forbidden ritual has influenced artistic expression, philosophy, cognitive practice, and even organizational systems. Its principles, alignment, focus, ethical integrity, and disciplined preparation, resonate not only in esoteric circles but in broader human culture. From narrative structures in literature to symbolic art, from meditative practices to ethical frameworks, the ritual's echoes are everywhere, shaping perception, understanding, and behavior in subtle yet powerful ways. Its enduring influence reminds us that knowledge of hidden forces, though ancient, continues to inform contemporary human experience. At the climactic threshold, the practitioner, or observer, faces a choice: to engage responsibly, respecting the ritual's history, principles, and power, or to approach recklessly, ignoring the lessons of centuries. This decision is central to the narrative, for it encapsulates the essence of the forbidden ritual. The same knowledge that can illuminate, empower, and transform can also mislead, destabilize, or harm if handled without care. In understanding this duality, one grasps the ritual's enduring lesson. True mastery is inseparable from ethical integrity, disciplined practice, and humility before forces beyond ordinary perception. The forbidden ritual's ultimate resolution is both philosophical and practical. Philosophically, it demonstrates that knowledge and power are intertwined with responsibility, discipline, and moral awareness. Practically, it shows that human consciousness, perception, and intentional action are far more malleable and interconnected than commonly assumed. The ritual serves as a bridge between material artifacts and symbolic practice, between historical lineage and modern exploration, between human curiosity and ethical accountability. By synthesizing these elements, one can appreciate the ritual not only as a historical phenomenon, but as a living system of knowledge with relevance across time, culture, and individual experience. In closing, the journey through the forbidden ritual illuminates a broader truth: that the pursuit of hidden knowledge is as much a journey of self-discovery as it is a quest for power or mastery. The ritual challenges, transforms, and refines those who engage with it responsibly, offering insights into perception, morality, and the subtle currents of human consciousness. It is not merely a relic of the past, nor a theoretical construct. It is an enduring system, encoded in artifacts, manuscripts, ethical frameworks, and modern practice, continually inviting seekers to explore, reflect, and grow. As we reflect on the ritual's legacy, its warnings, and its transformative potential, one is left with a profound sense of awe and respect. The Forbidden Ritual is a testament to human ingenuity, ethical foresight, and the persistent quest for understanding forces that lie beyond ordinary perception. Its endurance through millennia, across cultures, societies, and epochs, underscores not only its intrinsic power, but also the universal human fascination with hidden knowledge. It is a mirror of human aspiration, reflecting both our desire for enlightenment and our need for caution. Ultimately, the Forbidden Ritual challenges us to consider the broader implications of hidden knowledge in our own lives. It asks us to examine our intentions, refine our discipline, and cultivate ethical awareness in the pursuit of mastery, insight, or transformation. It reminds us that knowledge, power, and consciousness are inseparable, and that engagement with hidden forces, whether through ritual, study, or contemplation, requires humility, preparation, and reverence. By integrating these lessons, one can approach not only the Forbidden Ritual, but also the mysteries of life itself with wisdom, responsibility, and profound curiosity. In the end, the ritual remains a living enigma, a confluence of history, myth, cognition, ethics, and human aspiration. It is a story of power, risk, and revelation, of custodians and seekers, of symbols, artifacts, and prophecies, of ancient wisdom and modern understanding. Its influence is subtle yet enduring, guiding those prepared to learn while warning those unready to tread its path. The Forbidden Ritual, with all its mystery and depth, continues to invite humanity into a dialogue with hidden forces, a dialogue that tests character, sharpens perception, and challenges the limits of understanding, leaving every seeker, scholar, and observer both enlightened and humbled by its enduring legacy. As the journey through the Forbidden Ritual draws to its culmination, one is confronted by the magnitude of its mystery, the breadth of its influence, and the profound responsibility it imposes upon those who seek its knowledge. From ancient Egypt to Mesopotamia, from medieval Europe to Asia, and into modern explorations, the ritual has transcended time, culture, and geography, leaving traces not only in manuscripts, artifacts, and secret societies, but also in human consciousness itself. Its endurance is a testament to its depth, sophistication, and the allure of hidden power, while its dangers remind us of the fragility and complexity of engaging with forces beyond ordinary comprehension. The Forbidden Ritual's narrative is one of tension and balance. Across centuries, practitioners, scholars, and seekers have walked the line between revelation and peril, knowledge and chaos, mastery and disorientation. Historical custodians, priests, initiates, secret societies, developed meticulous protocols, ethical frameworks, and symbolic systems to ensure that the ritual could be accessed safely. Modern seekers, though armed with greater access to information and technology, continue to encounter the same fundamental challenge. The ritual demands preparation, discipline, and moral integrity. Its power is not granted lightly. It must be earned through understanding, vigilance, and respect. Reflecting upon the artifacts, manuscripts, and ceremonial implements preserved through the ages, one realizes that the ritual's material components were not mere decoration. They were integral to its function. Objects imbued with symbolism, geometric precision, and rare materials acted as focal points for attention and intention, enhancing perception and connecting the practitioner to deeper currents of energy, consciousness, and alignment. The study of these relics, when paired with reconstructed practices and modern cognitive insights, demonstrates that the ritual operates on multiple levels: physical, symbolic, psychological, and perhaps even metaphysical. It is a system designed for holistic engagement, demanding the practitioner's complete presence in mind, body, and spirit. The testimonies of modern seekers reinforce this continuity. Individuals experimenting with reconstructed rituals report shifts in perception, heightened intuition, and a subtle awareness of patterns in the environment and human behavior. While these experiences may not match the legendary accounts of ancient texts, they reflect the underlying principles encoded in the ritual. The alignment of focus, symbolism, and intention produces measurable effects on cognition and consciousness. These modern encounters confirm what historical custodians understood. The ritual's transformative potential is real, yet contingent upon ethical engagement, preparation, and disciplined practice. The prophecies and warnings interwoven throughout history add another layer of resonance to the climactic resolution. They are not merely tales of hubris or allegorical morality. They are guides, encoding centuries of human observation about the consequences of misaligned ambition. They remind us that curiosity without caution can produce disorientation, ethical lapse, or harm, while humility, preparation, and reverent engagement allow the practitioner to harness hidden potential safely. The ritual, in essence, is a mirror. It reflects the practitioner's readiness, morality, and discipline, offering insight or challenge depending upon one's approach. The societal and cultural impact of the ritual is equally profound. Through secret societies, manuscripts, relics, and modern reinterpretations, the forbidden ritual has influenced artistic expression, philosophy, cognitive practice, and even organizational systems. Its principles, alignment, focus, ethical integrity, and disciplined preparation, resonate not only in esoteric circles but in broader human culture. From narrative structures in literature to symbolic art, from meditative practices to ethical frameworks, the ritual's echoes are everywhere, shaping perception, understanding, and behavior in subtle yet powerful ways. Its enduring influence reminds us that knowledge of hidden forces, though ancient, continues to inform contemporary human experience. At the climactic threshold, the practitioner, or observer, faces a choice: to engage responsibly, respecting the ritual's history, principles, and power, or to approach recklessly, ignoring the lessons of centuries. This decision is central to the narrative, for it encapsulates the essence of the forbidden ritual. The same knowledge that can illuminate, empower, and transform can also mislead, destabilize, or harm if handled without care. In understanding this duality, one grasps the ritual's enduring lesson. True mastery is inseparable from ethical integrity, disciplined practice, and humility before forces beyond ordinary perception. The forbidden ritual's ultimate resolution is both philosophical and practical. Philosophically, it demonstrates that knowledge and power are intertwined with responsibility, discipline, and moral awareness.